Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Yahlial. I am here today to talk about the energies of the next week from May 17th until May 28th. May 18th, until May 24th. So the last aspect that we experimented was yesterday, May 16th. We are going to feel this still a little bit more. It was the conjunction between Mars and Chiron in Aries could be a painful aspect in which anger emerges because it puts us in contact with our primary wounds or with having to make decisions that are removing those wounds. But well, this week is very charged of many aspects. I want to talk about a little bit about all of them. I'm not going to be able to deepen too much. I'm going to do it in a Gemini style, which is precisely the energy that is going to be increased in the next days together with Uranus, which is in the first degree of this sign. And this comes to give us air. And the last week I was commenting that today, May 17th, Mercury entered in Gemini in an immediate conjunction with Uranus. And this is the possibility to change our mental focuses, the ones that weren't contributing too much with us, and open ourselves towards creative and inspiring spaces, learning new things with curiosity, learning to think different over certain aspects of our lives, connecting with people that can actually contribute with that information that helps us to open our minds, being able to detach in a more fluid way of situations and perceptions that are preventing perhaps for us to move forward in our path. Also, it is making this contact with synchronicities. These signals these days could be especially revealing. Truly, everything is synchronicity, but the Uranian energy brings these sudden revelations over the possibilities towards the future, insights and inspirations that open the doors to very new things. And when we talk about Gemini, we talk about the exchange of information, communication. Therefore, many people could not only having goals towards learning something new, but also to share their voice, to express themselves in an authentic way without seeking to fit in a mold without seeking controlling the perceptions of other people over the things that we are saying. I think that while we are seeking align ourselves with the most elevated intention inside, we just have to be ourselves. Also, this could have not that luminous manifestations as distraction in many directions, overthinking on the things that are coming towards the future as a mechanism of control, illusory of course. And well, this continues along the week because later we have the sun entering in Gemini. So we're going to begin, as always, in order. May 18th, Mars is coming out from Aries and enters in Taurus, and Venus comes out from Gemini and enters Cancer. And both of them are creating this harmonic aspect, which is a sextile that continues until the end of the week. Mars in Taurus is this action that we take in a consistent way, making decisions in a practical way. Being able to move out from the acceleration that many times and the impatience that many times is linked with the energy of Aries, and entering more in this axis of the development of the processes, being in the body, focus with presence in the things that we are doing right now, approaching situations that involve what we value, and the construction of stability. This, it is connecting with Venus in Cancer, which is the desire of surrounding ourselves of experiences that are nourishing, connecting with people with whom we can create emotional intimacy, with whom we can give and receive support. We could feel at home in family, whether we are talking blood family or not. Projects that could feed us not only in the material level, but also in the inner level, in the emotional spaces. And with this sextile, the possibilities that are opened are linked with giving form to a reality from those desires, projects, societies, relationships, and feeling that while we do that, we are sustained, that we can be safe, that we can create stability, security, not because things are going to be always the same, but because the core of our decisions is coming from this nutritious and nourishing space. This sounds wonderful. But it also happens that they are going to make squares that are very, very moving, especially Mars, with transpersonal planets. Mars in Taurus is going to create a square with Pluto in Aquarius. It is going to be perfected the next week, the following week, but we are going to feel this from the entrance. I'm not going to expand it too much right now, but basically what is showing is the possibility to free ourselves from something that perhaps we have been very, very attached, from this will of control, from resistance to change in a possessive way. Could also be an expression of Mars in Taurus. Could be a perception, a relationship, a situation that requires of our detachment, of our transformation. This could involve dynamics of abuse in certain areas of life, topics linked with economy, the value that we give to ourselves, our relationship with the physical body, and it's a quite intense aspect. And well, it could put a lot of pressure so we can produce that transformation through external situations. So some people could be awakened in this survival mode. The survival mode could be triggered through this aspect. The obsessions, the resistance to change. So we could transcend that, coming back to the present, into the things that we can actually do at this present moment, to the essential. On the other side, Venus in Cancer is going to make a square with Neptune in Aries. Also from the beginning of the transit, and it is going to be perfected on the 22nd. We could feel that until 24th, and this speaks of forms of self-deceit, denial, the ways that we are not listening to our intuition, fantasies as mechanisms of protection, ways of evading or escaping from reality that are impacting ourselves in a negative way, veils that need to fall, because they could imply disillusionment, in disappointment in some cases, because instead of them approaching ourselves to the desires of the soul, they were producing the opposite. Ways in which we are giving or taking care of other people, they are leading us to occupy a role that is more linked with a mother. The archetype of the mother is linked with Cancer, that doesn't correspond, and that is creating energetical drain, something that we are giving without limits, without boundaries, or that we are allowing, and that is not making us feel good. Forms of emotional dependency, attachments that are preventing us from embracing the desires of the soul. So in order to channel this energy, this masculine and feminine energy that we all have, which are the functions of Mars and Venus, to materialize realities of plenitude, creating relationships and projects that can be nourishing for us, we have to make this work with these squares. And something that I clarify when we have tensions between Venus and Neptune is to put attention in things, in topics of investments, whether they are energetical or of money, and to bring ourselves to honesty if we are doing those kind of choices to escape from a situation quickly, whether this is internal or external, and to obtain satisfaction or benefits in an immediate way, because that is the form in which we are falling after in deceit, in the frauds, in the scams, etc., etc. So okay, we continue. On May 19th, Mercury in Gemini is very, very active, and it is going to make aspects that we could feel from now until May 20th. So it is going to make a sextile with Neptune in Aries and a trine with Pluto in Aquarius. I am pronouncing a quite weird way, sorry. Both of them are fluid aspects, and at the same time that Mars and Venus are creating squares with them, Mercury, the mental function could make things easier. This means that we have the opportunity to look at those situations with other perspectives, to seek the necessary information before making a decision, to listen our intuition, Neptune, and to remember that even though, of course, there are circumstances that right now we cannot control or force, we can recover our power and creating forms of freedom in the present moment. When we remember that we are the ones that we are choosing how to manage them, and those experiences are reflecting something, and if we are willing to see what is, they can actually be the next step to go to the next level. So this same day, Mercury in Gemini is making squares with the lunar nodes, the North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo. So we are going to notice that tiny or big situations are going to be presented a little bit as this test. We have to make a decision between paths, between ways of expressing or behaving that is implying, listening in a very deep way to what we need, and to know how to listen to other people, because that is the basis of communication. And with knowing how to listen other people, I am not only referring to put attention and not filtering, the information through our preconcepts or our judgments, but also taking the information that other people are giving with their words and their acts, and not wanting to believe what we want to believe. An example of this could be the person said that doesn't want commitment, but I'm going to insist in this relationship to make him or her to change, his or her mind. Or vice versa, the person is saying that it wants to move forward with this project, but there is no consistency between his or her acts with those words. So if we talk about our own projects, could be about letting go of how other people are going to perceive our decisions, if other people are going to judge or criticize, or ways of perfectionism, which is our own criticism in an excessive way, or behaviors in which we are helping other people but we don't truly want to do that, and we are forcing ourselves to buy external validation. So we're going to feel this also until this week and the next one, because the Sun in Gemini is going to repeat these squares. So May 20th, Sun enters Gemini in conjunction with Uranus. It is going to be perfected on May 22nd, but we actually feel this from the last degrees of Taurus, because this was part of the new moon of the in Taurus of the last week. So we start this new season with this aspect that we haven't experimented before. This is the first time that we leave a contact between Mercury and the Sun with Uranus in Gemini. And well, this is showing us how we could, how we are going to transit, Uranus in Gemini. And well, I have several planets in this sign, including the Sun. Uranus is far away, is still far away from the transit, but in many things I am very used to work in this multitasking mode in a fluid way. I am trying to make sure that I am not approaching more than 2 activities, 3 in little bit occasions, because things are going to have the tendency to fail. But obviously, there are other things that require all my attention in a center way. But I am noticing that in certain moments I have to do more effort to make focus in the last days. And it is also important to make this registration that if something is not interesting at all, to ask ourselves, is if we truly have to put energy there, because many times people are trying to force themselves to do things that they shouldn't, or they are distracted of the important things because that involves challenge. And this is something that certainly we are experimenting with the excess of social media. People are not able to sustain their attention in the long term. So only being honest with ourselves could bring that answer. And precisely, it is a season to make very good questions of quality, questions that are not necessarily going to be answered that quick, but lead us to investigate, to make seeking, to the seek of the answer. And that process itself could involve growth. Other resource that I think that the energy of Gemini could offer, and that I don't think that is a minor thing, is humor. Learning to laugh at ourselves of situations, of how bizarre the world can be sometimes, of how reality surpasses fiction and fiction is inspired in reality, and taking the seriousness to certain things to push away the energetical burden, so we can walk in a lighter way. without falling, of course, in humor as a way of not contacting with our emotional aspects or situations because they cause discomfort, or laughing at our people that are not ready to laugh at certain things. Being sarcastic, hurting others. That is not what I am trying to say. So I think it's a marvelous resource. And well, this contact, sorry, with Uranus, I was saying this the last week, it could be news that you didn't expect. It is revealed the side B of a situation, the other phases of a circumstance that we didn't know. Other things are coming to light that change the conception that we had over that. Scientific discoverings, of course, could be a chaotic energy, a very messy energy, because it comes to break with an old order. Even the discoveries could be about aspects of ourselves that we didn't perceive before, potentials that we could develop, ideas that we are associating, points that we connect, that bring this great insight over our individual life or collective situations, people with which we are associating or participating in certain projects that we didn't imagine before that we were going to do that. Creative ideas that come as a download, or something that causes us a lot of curiosity to incorporate, or vice versa, information that we consumed before that we are not interested anymore, and that we want to clean. These are days very, it is very important these days to put attention in our relationship with technology, the time that we spend in screens, because insomnia is an aspect of Uranus. And of course, this could be, exacerbated through spending time on screens, or the excess of mental charge and worries towards the future. The Sun, it is also going to perfect a sextile with Neptune in Aries on May 24th. We feel that from the entrance, the moment of the entrance, and this could be an excellent opportunity to move forward over an idea, an inner calling, an intuitive one, to put clarity over a situation or something that we want to say, and being able to communicate in an empathetic way, compassive way with the other person, but also determinant if we need so, because I think that is also an expression of Neptune in Aries, and could be something very nice considering the square Venus-Neptune. And also Mercury in Gemini, which is the ruler right, by that moment of the Sun in Gemini, because it's the regent of the sign. It is going to create a sextile with Saturn in Aries from May 20th to May 23rd. Therefore, we have the opportunity to establish boundaries, or clear criteria. I don't know if I'm inventing that word, could be taking initiatives, thinking in the long term, approaching projects that are independent, or situations that require a guard for our own independence, and doing that in a fluid way, without that much resistance. And well, to close this video today on May 22nd and 24th, but this is active from the 20th, Mars in Taurus and Venus in Cancer that are united by this sextile at the same time that I talked at the beginning of the video, are also going to create trines and sextiles with the lunar nodes. This means that at the same time, we are going to experiment certain challenges, situations that could show inner conflict, so we can actually make the evolutionary path, and stop repeating the same patterns that are causing us stagnation. There are opportunities that are presenting, that are being born from our actions, from the contact with our inner desires, from truly wanting to move forward, that are going to impulse to make the nourishing decisions, and people and situations that could actually bring that possibility of growth. So, well, with this weird English today, I'm going to close the video. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.